Right now, we are at Tel AZEKA. It's an important fortified city within the tribe of Judah. Spoken about in 1 Samuel chapter 17. You okay?
Yeah. We'll be fine. I'm glad I'm not the only one with flip-flops on.
Yeah, we packed light. Like, this is all we packed for the trip.
Where is he now?
He's up there. I'm watching. Where's Nana? Alright, she's up ahead then. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that an understatement?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait a minute, this is Israel? Come on.
Nana. Nana. Wait for me.
Mom, I'm already up here, Mom. Wait.
Wow, this is a big deal.
Come on, Mom.
Should be somewhere in those hills. Sa'adai.
And Yoni,
Yes, sir.
who's living over there?
That's Bet Shemesh is being built a lot. We're having a housing crisis. The
3.1.
yeah. So yeah, you're already ahead of me. Like Larry already made the math in his head. 3.1, and we're going through a very serious housing crisis. 3-bedroom apartment in Tel Aviv has reached already way over $1 million. It could be 1.5 million for a 3-bedroom apartment in Tel Aviv.
Dollars or shekels?
Dollars. Oh, parking is the serious thing. You know the right questions indeed. So
That's
what we're
above my
having now
cost of
is
living.
we're building high rises everywhere we can to accommodate the young couples to try and give them housing.
So we're still here at Tel AZEKA, and if you look off in the distance, all those apartment buildings, those homes, that is Bet Shemesh. This is in the Judean,
This is a very Israeli thing.
is it Judean Plain, Judean
Then
Mountains, Hills.
sandal bag that's called Source is a great coffee bag for remember that coffee we do on our trip? It's also a Source bag. You can't do so much agriculture. When we did the men's trick, if you remember, we saw how they overcame that by building those terraces into the mountains. And they learned how to do agriculture in the mountains. But anyhow, the Israelites are over here. Those mountains are dominated by a tribe called the tribe of Judah. And then there's a lot of Simeon also into that tribe. And the story that took place here, that's the valley over there. Right over there is the valley. There's this little hill inside this valley. And the valley goes up into the area of Hebron. And that place, Halhul, it is called. So I think it's in 1 Samuel 17 where it talks about what took place over here. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle and were gathered together at Shoho. Shoho is that hill over there. It's the road runs right under Shoho. It has been identified, which belongeth to Judah and pitched between Shoho and AZEKA. We are on AZEKA right now. And Ephes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the Valley of Elah and set the battle in array against the Philistines. So I'm just guessing from a logical point of view, if they came down from the Israeli side, from the mountains, they were probably somewhere over there. When the Philistines coming up from the plains, I'm guessing they were somewhere over here between Shoho and AZEKA, where we are at right now. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose weight was 6 cubits and a span. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had graves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam. And there's a lot of crippled, a lot of injured, a lot of orphans, and widows. That's the fruit of war. And so every now and again there would be these solutions. You know, maybe we don't have to all go to battle. You guys choose one guy, we'll choose one guy, and these two will determine the whole battle for us, instead of all of us now being slaughtered. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I again? Because I'm a little criminal-minded, I guess. And the first thing that comes to mind is like, come on, you, let's get some horses, let's go out, kill this guy, the 10 of us, and run back. Why are they listening to this guy? I know he's scary one by one. I'm not going by myself, but let's go quickly, get rid of him, and come back. And the issue was that he made it a religious war. Where is this God of yours that we heard about? The God of Israel that slew the Egyptians. Where is this God? I come in the name of my gods, the God of Dagon and what have you, the Philistine gods. Where's your God? Does God need your help? Why isn't there anybody here able to come up against me? Already beyond his military years. He's already above 45, so he can't go to battle. Instead, his sons are in the right age, so they're taken. But David, he's too young to go. He's still a child. And the 3 eldest sons of Ishai went and followed Saul to the battle. And the name of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third was Shema. And David was the youngest. And the 3 eldest followed Saul, but David went out and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep in Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening, and presented himself, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion, and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. David believed in that God that Philistine was cursing and making fun of. And he had no problem going even by himself, come to find out. A lot braver than me. And Saul said unto David, go, and he's a lot faithful than me, I guess, too. Go, and thy Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put on the helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he aside to go, for he had not proven it. He wasn't trained in this. He couldn't walk with this. It takes time. In the military, every single piece of gear, you got to march for it. You got to earn it. You got to get used to it. You can't just put it on and let's go. It doesn't work that way. I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off of him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones. That always reminds me the 5 books of Moses. The water coming through the brook runs through these stones and it makes them smooth. That's just like Israel. That's what we're doing right now during this feast. Every year, we're trying to be like the Jesus crew. We want to read the book as much as possible. So every year we have a certain portion, but unfortunately we only read the 5 books and some of the prophets, and a whole bunch of oral law. But every year we read the 5 books of Moses over and over and over again. And right now, this is the final week. This is the week where we finish the 5 books of Moses, and we're going to start from Genesis once again. So on the 8th day of Tabernacles is Simchat Torah. It's the final day when we end the books of Moses. And the very next day we start from the beginning. Start from Genesis. So he picks up 5 smooth stones, but he only needed one of them. I guess that was Genesis, because the other ones are Book of the Law, but that's just 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and he put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near unto the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, a ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with thieves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day the Lord will deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, and that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and it smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over that Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of his sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the man of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted, and pursued the Philistines until thou come that you are sitting in front of right now, the Valley of Elah.
The Valley of Elah.
Okay, brothers and sisters, are there any questions about anything?
So Yoni, the fight would have been kind of around that bend on that hill across the way, right?
I believe so. Yep. We're gonna keep going on Highway 38, and right when Highway 375, that junction right over there, is like the middle of the valley.
Okay.
So if you see this car, there's two cars about to meet now.
Yeah.
That meeting place on the left side, that's the brook itself. That's the brook that drains the valley.
Okay.
And it goes under that road of Highway 38.
Okay.
We might have stepped down back in the day. I don't remember if we did or not when we went picking up stones. That's where we would have done that down there.
Okay.
Tov.
So we're on the Philistine side?
And well, we're right on the border. We're at AZEKA, but if you look down there, all of that was the Philistine side. So everything west from here, like I said, the low plains, the flatlands, that was the good lands, that would have been the Philistines.
So if it was shouting, if they'd have been standing over here shouting Israel. Yeah.
And the hillside, we're looking at the hills, we're looking at the Israelites.
So when they fled, which way?
They
would-
fled that way. They wanted to get back into their cities behind the walls.
So the King David, David's side was on that side, and the Philistines were on this side.
Yep. David actually came from Ephrat, Bethlehem. Bethlehem, well, you can kind of see the outskirts of Jerusalem over there, and then you got Bethlehem, and then you have Hebron. It's all on that mountain ridge over there.
I like that.
Yeah, not very far.
Well, thank you for coming.
This is a good view.
Apparently, I was